Martha.
Have I got something for you? Which may be more important in the end.
Stay tuned for that. We're cooking with gas right now on a
We have one person who's not back in school yet, which is getting to be a very...
I mean, what are they up
Let's get together for a few days and solve the Europe debt crisis and see how that goes.
Have a great weekend,
Well, have a good weekend. We'll work on it again next week.
The leaders of France and Germany and the United States, for that matter, have just been putting the major pressure on the shoulders of that Greek government. We'll see in the end.
Other extensions that they might want to get, you know, maybe they could push it a few days longer.
I don't think you two ladies are just smart. I think you're hyper intelligent.
Really?
Right, so you absolutely. You and Liz Claim in there?
Liz
Come
and I
on.
go way back.
That is Jersey power.
We go way back, exactly. Well, they pulled through the recession without laying off a single worker. Now, one small scrap metal yard on Long Island is hiring again as the economy creeps back from the brink of depression. Gershow Recycling, what do they know that other businesses don't seem to know right now?
Bill Hemmer, welcome here to America's Newsroom.
Good morning, Bill Hemmer.
The weekend was grand, I take it?
The weekend was great. How was yours?
Excellent. Grand.
It was beautiful, right? Fall is back.
Outstanding.
And that was good news. So good morning, everybody. We're so glad you're here with us this morning. And according to the latest ABC News Washington Post poll, the answer to the question, who could win, is Mitt Romney right now. Go big or go home. That is the bold message from some lawmakers urging the super committee to find a real solution to the nation's debt problem. What a good idea that would be, right? But what happens if this panel, and he's going to be okay, is the word from the hospital. They're incredible.
Sitting there waiting to get picked up. Yeah. And they picked him up. Nice. All right,
and very polite. He was a perfect gentleman, a great date.
Done.
Wonder if maybe they'll go out again.
A class act, right?
She's right now in the open, but it's up over the 12,000 mark after about an 85-point jump yesterday.
They're moving from Greece to Italy, and when they sneeze, our market goes up or down.
Getting closer all the time.
100 points within seconds. So we can talk about anything you like. It's your turn.
Fox News, he always says. All right, well, he is the man behind the Arizona crackdown law.
This out before Penn State takes the field again in a big game this weekend against Nebraska, and we'll see. Rise 2011, right? You know who would take care of that?
Who?
Joe Walsh. Send him Joe Walsh. He'll get that power back.
Get up there and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah. All right. Happy shopping, America.
Happy shopping.
We'll see you on the radio with Kilmeade.
We will. We'll be on the radio with Brian Kilmeade moments from now.
If comments were on a string. You want to pull that one back. I do that every day, by the way. Just stick around for the next 2 hours.
I try never to promise a list because I might run out of the comments before I get to the end.
Well, stick around and you can see what we do here. Good morning. I'm Bill Hemmer and welcome. How you doing, Martha?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Good morning, Bill. Good morning, everybody. So, Rick Perry has said this morning in talking about all of this that he may skip some from Fox Business Network. Here's a little context on this conversation here. We can see where we stand now. 390,000 claims is the number for today. It's a little bit higher than the low that we saw back here at 375 in the recent numbers. A healthy economy. For that, we need to be below the 375,000 mark that you can see. This yellow line is the line that you need to be at to be creating jobs in a healthy, sustained economic situation. So
our question is way next time.
Decaf only.
So BYA, that's right.
All right, well, the Occupy Wall Street protests getting good for both of them for making the night of these special people in the Marine Corps. I'm sure everybody loved having them there, and I'm sure they probably get more out of it than the folks that they
kind of tough always going on a blind.
Basically said that healthcare is a unique market. That it is unlike any other commercial market in the country, which I found very interesting, because if you're going to say that, and if the court finds that as well, that's a good argument for upholding this law.
The D.C. Circuit, and it was...
Same page. By the time they get to this point where they say, yes, we're going to run, usually then even the reluctant spouse comes out and says, all right, fine, I'll campaign with you. But she's taken a different route. Very interesting.
She really has. All right.
I'm sorry, it's a Spider-Man comic book taken 2 weeks ago. Maybe he doesn't check for it every single day, I guess, and then he went to look for it. And
15 grand?
15 grand
Who
for
knew?
a comic?
Not working. Right? I mean, it's Occupy Best Buy.
He's just going to hang out in front of Best Buy until the doors open.
He's going to get the best deal possible.
That's what I call persistence.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
Oh, boy.
Close call.
Help people this
especially as we move toward the holidays.
Advantage of those.
Indeed, you're right about that. To mention that school, that campus for a very, very long time.
Well, that's certainly a bold move, putting a man like that in charge of it. So let's hope that he can get to the bottom of it. So the Republican candidates vowing to repeal the president's overhaul of health care if they win the White House.
2-1 on that margin there.
I think people are disgusted with what's going on and the lack of ability to get anything done. And you look at how people do things in their own budgets, and I know that might seem like a cliche at this point, but the big question right now is that
wouldn't cover the interest for this hour on our national debt. Not even the interest at $7 billion.
He's like, why have all this money? Why do I want to run for president, right? You can get belt buckles that say Trump on them. You can get pretty much everything that says Trump on them when it comes to the brand.
And he's got great golf courses, too.
This man speaks from experience.
The recommendation. That's right.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Newt Gingrich again and his plan that he came out with, very specific for what he would do for you. Because you asked, he will answer your question. So I love word association. It's always fun, right? So how about a game of word association with a presidential? I see right there what other people are thinking about this.
I'm thinking your 3 kids could get more done.
Absolutely, I know they can, especially with me behind them. We're being here. Good to have you.
A big hangover from the Super Committee. In a moment here, we're going to bring in Bob and Andrea, too, our friends from the 5.
Yep.
I
would also point out, my thanks to Pat Forty for joining us. New Jersey has the toughest bullying laws in the country. Every school has to write an 18-page document if a child is bullied. You so much as call someone a name, you could be suspended from school. But apparently, if your team's on the way to the championships, you might be able to surpass those.
As you said, we'll keep an eye on it and see how this
weekend that he would have to come in surprisingly second at least in New Hampshire.
We talked to him. We talked to him last week here in America's Newsroom. He needs gas money to keep his campaign alive, and that's about it right now because
he's probably got that.
Yeah, he does.
I think he's got enough for gas money.
Everything right now is in New Hampshire.
They are very happy to be back on American soil.
Yes, they are. They didn't know each other before they went over to Cairo, but they'll be friends for life.
They have quite a shared experience now.
That they do.
The Union Leader, as Britt was just talking about, is the largest daily newspaper in what could be the most important election state in America. So Joe McQuaid is the publisher of that newspaper. He's the man who made that decision to support Newt Gingrich this time around, ruffled a lot of feathers in doing so. He's here in America's Newsroom 25 minutes from now. Find out why he did it.
We will talk to him then.
Yeah, he said once you get on the Kane train, you're there to stay. He was, of course, once a front runner. Down at 3rd place, so it bears pointing out that he is in 3rd place and across the board in these polls, and that's certainly, you could be in worse shape because there's a lot to come.
And as he would say, buy your ticket today because there's a movie out today. Carl Cameron on this coming up in a moment here. When the first allegations came out, and they trickled out day after day, it hurt him in the polling. And you watch Kane slowly start to drop. We'll see whether or not this has a similar impact.
He's maintained a 3rd place position, and this is a very different sort of allegation. An affair versus harassment charges, and the way that people react to both of those things can be very different. I just have to wonder why she comes out now. You know, she says she feels so strongly that it was that she needed to say something about this relationship.
Georgia, right?
Yeah.
He's from Georgia. She says she has text messages and phone calls and records.
And he said nothing. He said it was not of a sexual nature, but his spokesperson said that he felt that questions along these lines about a relationship that may have lasted a long time are off limits. He said it's between the family, this issue, which certainly gave some credibility to the charge, some might say. So we'll see what happens for Herman Cain. A lot to be written so far.
Passed along to the patient.
It's not nowhere in that bill, right?
It should have been in that bill. I mean,
towards 30%. 30% of the budget, bigger than defense in this country. So we got to get a handle on this. And the Super Committee, as they pointed out,